Hey guys, Chris here from theguitarcoach.org. In this video we're going to be talking about how to change the strings on an acoustic guitar. It's a very simple task. It may take you maybe at the most 30 minutes, but with the time and practice you probably get this a little quicker, down to 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a couple things that you're going to need first, which is of course a new set of strings. Alright, some wire cutters to cut those strings down. Possibly a tuner. My guitar comes equipped with a tuner on it, but in case you need to get one of these, you can probably get a Snark tuner for less than $10. Wire cutter is about the same. And last but not least, of course, the string winder, which is also equipped with a tool to pull the peg out on your guitar. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to use that string winder to get that nice and loose. Piece of cake with this thing. Okay, so now we've got them all nice and loose. Now I'm going to take my string cutter and I'm just going to cut through these. Now, if your strings aren't really that bad, maybe you just want a fresh, just want to get a fresh set on there to get that nice brighter sound. And sometimes your strings aren't so bad, so maybe you want to keep them, you know, in case you run into a problem and you want to have some extras hanging out as like a just in case spare tire, you know. But in this case, I'm just going to destroy these and cut them all in half. But sometimes people want to unwrap them all and then save them for future use. Like I said, for a spare tire. But in this case, not me. I'm getting rid of them. So I'm cutting all these. Alright. So that's done. Now I take this part, and again you can kind of see I've got this little tool there where I can reach down and get these pegs here and pop them up, and that's the whole idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, put it in my E string peg, pop it out like so. That's all it takes. See? It goes in like so, and you just pry it up. Now you can use a fork maybe to pry those up, but you know, this is such a cheap investment, it's really worth it because it's a double whammy with the winding and also the peg popper. Okay? So, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to take these fragmented pieces here, pull them all off. Okay, so I've got all the strings off, whatnot. Now at this point you've got everything clear, so you could take advantage of that, the strings being out of the way, and get some kind of, you know, like a wood cleaner or whatnot, or Windex to shine this up beautifully and wipe it down nice and good and get all the dust out of the way. Now again, this is the opportunity to do that. I'm not going to take that opportunity. I'm just going to go ahead and change out these strings. Whoops. So I take my strings here. I use D'Addario EXPs. These are kind of expensive, but they're worth it because they last a lot longer. So I really end up saving money in the long run. Okay, so these come wound up to groups of two, and they're usually the strings that are right next to each other, which as you can see with these D'Addario strings, the ends are color coded, which is kind of nice. Helps you know what's what, and of course they show a guide on the package so you can figure out what's what. So I'm going to start with my E and my A string. Now for you beginners out there, of course you're going to need to know the names of your strings and the order that they go in, so you don't put the wrong string in the wrong hole. And that is maybe what she said. Alright, so here we go. This is my E string and my A string. With the D'Addario, the E string is always going to be with the gold ball, A string with the red ball. So what I'm going to do is go back to my bridge here on my acoustic, and I'm just going to pop both of those in there. Now you take the ball in there, you shove it in, and you can see there's a slot. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a slot inside these pegs. And so when you insert the peg, you want to make sure that slot is facing towards the headstock so that the string goes right in the groove of that once it gets in there. Alright, so pushing that down, forcing it in, and now it's in there really good. Gonna take the A string, do the same thing. And again with that slot facing forward so that the string goes right in the groove. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all my strings on first before I wind anything up. Okay, so they're there. Now they're all on there. Brand new strings. All we gotta do is wind them up. So, start with my E string. Okay. Angle myself towards you guys here. I like to angle, or I'm sorry, turn the tuning peg so that the hole is facing this way, so I can just easily feed the string right through. Now, this is the important part of, how many wraps should you do, whatnot. Here is an indication. You want to take your string with the 3 fingers, the back 3 fingers here, and then with your pointer finger, hold that down. Now this is going to keep a nice amount of slack so that it will end up causing a couple of wraps over here, which is good. You don't want to have just a single wrap, just to keep a couple extra wraps there is a decent amount. Alright, so I'm going to wind. You can see I'm winding towards the top of the headstock. This is a counterclockwise motion. And again, see I've got my hand here, I'm keeping tension so that it wraps nice and evenly on the peg. Okay? Now, I've got about halfway around, so now where the string is pointing out here, I don't want it to underlap. I don't want this part of it to overlap what's coming through here. I want this thing to overlap. So I'm going to bend that up, and that way it'll keep the wrap nice and true. Right underneath there. So you can see how this wraps around nicely. Okay. Again, I'm keeping tension back here with my hand, the way it is my 3 back fingers here, holding that string nice and tight and tense. Winding, winding, winding. Of course, make sure that goes in the slot on the nut, and this being the nut, of course, for you beginners out there may not know the names. And there you have it. Okay, so that's my first one. Moving on to the A string. I'm just going to repeat the exact same steps. Once again, the hole of the tuning peg, forcing this way so the string goes right through. Keeping the tension by having those 3 fingers prop up that string. Beginning my wrap. Once it gets halfway around, fold that string up. And keep wrapping. Going around and around and around, and once again you can see it's making some nice organized wraps right underneath. Going around and around, and it's not going to be any kind of mangled mess that sometimes you see on maybe your friends' guitars. I'll see on some of my friends' guitars, that's for sure. Okay, now they're all on there. You can see I've got this jagged mess now of strings. So that's what your wire cutter or string cutter comes in handy for. So now we can trim that all up and make it nice and neat. So that's what I'm going to do here now. Now, got them all trimmed up nice and neat. Now here's the thing, I'm not going to tell you how to run your guitar playing or run your instrument or anything, but you know, these things are very jagged and they can catch and cut somebody really easily, so you want to make sure you bend those down. Make sure that they're not such a potentially dangerous weapon for that matter. You might even cut yourself if you're not careful walking by it on a guitar stand or something. So I'm going to put those down out of the way. Alright, for the most part, it looks pretty safe. So you can kind of see how they all wrapped up nicely on there. Okay, they all wound around there just the way they're supposed to be. Okay, so now you can see that's horribly out of tune. So we've got to tune this thing. So you can use that snare tuner I was talking about for like less than $10, but I'm going to use a tuner that's on my guitar. Okay, so that's still a little out, but for the most part it's in tune. So what do we do now? Well, you want to stretch these out because you want to get them broken in decently before you start playing anything, because if you don't, they could just go out of tune, you know, in the middle of playing something, because they're fresh, they're brand new, and they need to be stretched out. So do some bending. I'm going to stretch these out right here by doing some extreme bends here. Pulling down. Now you want to pull them down in a couple of different areas, like here in the middle and even here. Now if you can't quite get the bend out of these, you can pull it this way too, but you want to get them good and stretched out. Okay, and then you retune. Okay. Brand new set of strings ready to go. Okay, if you guys have any more questions or any further questions, that is, okay, look me up at theguitarcoach.org. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you learned something. By all means, leave a comment below, and by all means, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Talk to you guys soon. Later.